Let's discuss what is green manure. Well, green manure is defined as a crop or plant that is grown and then intentionally plowed under to improve the underlying soil. So first of all, just remember that it's a crop or a plant that is grown and after that it is tilled, right, into the soil again. So green manure is sometimes alternatively called a cover crop, but there is some difference between cover crop and green manure. What is that difference between a cover crop and a green manure? Cover crops refer to plants that are grown over the soil to protect it. But green manure is a cover crop specifically meant to be tilled back into the soil. So as I told you earlier that it is a crop that is grown and then it is tilled back into the soil. So there is a difference between cover crop and green manure, right. Next, you can also define green manure as that it is a practice of plowing in the green plant tissues grown in the field or adding green plants with tender twigs or leaves from outside and incorporating them into the soil for improving the physical structure as well as fertility of the soil. So the main objective of green manuring is that it improves the fertility of the soil and that too from the plants. So it can be defined as a practice of plowing or turning into the soil undecomposed green plant tissues for the purpose of improving the soil fertility. So what is the main objective of green manuring? The main objective of green manuring is to add an organic matter into the soil. And what is the most important and deficient nutrient in the soil? That is this nitrogen. So the main objective, the main aim of green manuring is to add the most important and the most deficient nutrient, that is nitrogen, into the soil. Then we have basically two types of green manuring. We have green manuring in situ and green leaf manuring. First of all, what is green manuring in situ? When green manure crops are grown in the field itself, either as a pure crop or as an intercrop with the main crop and buried in the same field, means it is tilled back into the soil in the same field, that is known as green manuring in situ. So what type of crops are grown which are then tilled back into the soil? So I hope that you are getting what do you mean by green manuring in situ. Green manuring in situ means that we are going to grow the green manure crops into the field itself, and these crops are sown as a main crop, or you can say inter-row sown crop. So you have a main crop, with that you have this green manure crop. Then it can also be as on bare fallow depending upon the soil and climatic conditions of the region. It can also be grown on a bare land. So what are the types of crops that are grown for green manuring? It's sun hemp, shade wheat, urd, moong, cowpea, barseem, senji, and like this many more. So green manuring in situ means you are growing the crops. These crops can be sown as the main crop, inter-row sown crop, on bare fallow depending upon the soil and climatic conditions of the region, and after that this crop is tilled back into the soil. So this is how we get green manure, and this is going to increase the fertility of the soil. Basically it is going to increase the nitrogen content of the soil. Then we have the next type of green manuring as green leaf manuring. Now what is it, green leaf manuring? It refers to the turning into the soil green leaves and tender green twigs collected from shrubs and trees grown on bunds, wastelands and nearby forest area. So here you are not growing the crop itself, you are just turning the soil with green leaves and tender green twigs, which will turn into green manure after some time. So what are the green leaf manuring crops? We can use the leaves from Azadiracta indica, Calotropis, Acacia fistula, right. So these are the plants whose leaves can be used, whose green twigs can be used to form green leaf manure in the field. So I hope the major difference between green manuring in situ and green leaf manuring, you can understand that in green manuring in situ, we are growing the actual crop like the main crop, or it can be an inter-row sown crop, or you are growing the crop on a bare land. and then after its growth you are going to till it back into the soil. But in case of green leaf manuring, we are just using the green leaves and tender green twigs of these crops. Alright, we are just going to mix them up in the soil and we can obtain green leaf manure, which is again going to increase the fertility of the soil. Next, what are the benefits of this green manure? It is going to reduce the need of chemical fertilizers. Well, as you know that nowadays farmers are depending on chemical fertilizers so that they can have more desired results. But if the farmers are going to depend upon green manure, then this is going to reduce the need of chemical fertilizers, as green manure has more advantages as compared to chemical fertilizers. Chemical fertilizers can actually after some time harm the fertility of the soil, can harm the production, can harm the crop itself. Now let us see what other benefits does this green manure hold for all of us. It increases biomass production in the fields. Obviously, when we are going to use green manure, we are going to increase the fertility of the soil. When the soil is going to be fertile, then there is going to be increase in the biomass production in the fields. Then increase in microorganisms and their activity in the soil. The microorganisms are also going to increase and their activity is going to increase, and this is going to lead to the increase in the fertility of the soil. It also increases farm production. As compared to the farmers which use chemical fertilizers, the crops are not that much nutritious. Why? Because chemical fertilizers, they are going to add something that is chemical, right? It is not natural. But if we use green manure, then this is going to increase farm production, as this is going to lead to more crops. Why so? Because now the soil is fertile, soil can hold more nutrients, has more water absorption capacity, due to which the farm production is going to increase. It is also going to decrease work and expense. How expense? Well, chemical fertilizers are quite costly, but when you use green manure, then definitely your expense is going to decrease. Reducing weeds. Now since we are going to cover the field with the green manure crops, then this is going to reduce the weeds growth. Then it is also going to protect the soil, as again we are going to cover the field with green manure, it is going to protect the soil and going to add to the fertility of the soil. So overall it will improve the soil texture, water holding capacity and nutrient holding capacity also. It improves the quality of crops. The crops that are grown with green manure, they have good quality, better quality as compared to the crops that are sown with the help of chemical fertilizers. So as a whole, green manuring has a lot of benefits over chemical fertilizers. So green manure is going to help the farmers to reap the benefits. The quality of the crop is going to get improved. It will reduce the weeds, protect the soil, improve the